All right, well, it's been a tradition, I believe, since the NLSI days, since our very first conference in 2008, that we work hand in hand with the analysis groups, with the AGs. In our NLSI days, it was just LEAG. And now it's Sbag as well. Given the expanded scope of Survey, it's a real pleasure to work with these groups. And since the first conference, we have sponsored a town hall. So as you know, we're doing that right now. And what I'd like to do is introduce Dan Britt, who is going to talk about Sbag.
We decided on the order by flipping a coin, and I lost, so I'm going to start with Sbag. Do I advance the slides with the plus and the minus? Oh, okay, with that thing. Okay. So we recently concluded our Sbag summer meeting in DC. The future meetings are going to be in Pasadena and also in DC. The DC meeting was actually characterized by a marathon afternoon session of small body discovery missions. And I think it's an indication of the health of the program and the growth of the small bodies community that we have this many missions, and actually several of them have been featured at this meeting. But it was a death march to get through all these. Paul Abel and I are at this meeting. We're on the steering committee. If you want to discuss Sbag stuff offline with us, please stop us in the hall. And we have several people that are rotating on right now. And every year we rotate fresh blood in and rotate other people off. So if you're interested in participating with Sbag, please let us know and start coming to the meetings, because all in the community are welcome. One of the things we're doing right now is we're doing a Sbag goals document for the various science and technology goals that are relevant to small bodies, and that includes well, basically, these things are valuable resources for NASA, and it gives us a chance to put out the small bodies community priorities and stamp them with the approval of the community. And what we're trying to do is develop 3 very high-level goals that decision makers can read in a short amount of time and are at least well documented enough to stand on their own, but not so long or boring that nobody is going to read them. So that's going to include science, planetary defense, human exploration, and also a technology roadmap. And for instance, this is our roadmap schedule. We're at June right now, and we're entering the community comment period. You can go to the Sbag website, just search on Sbag, and download a lot of the draft material. And the leads are noted there. They are also noted right here. So the people on each one of these committees. Tim Swindle is leading the science. Tommy Grave is leading planetary defense. Paul is the human exploration lead. So if you have input, if you want to get your ideas known to these people, either contact the leads or talk to anybody on these committees, and you'll find a receptive audience. Our guiding principles are that this document needs to be sustainable. It needs to be easily updated, needs to be always up to date, and reflect the views of the Sbag community, because these views do change with time, and conditions change, and technology changes. And we want this to be punchy enough to have an impact. So it has to be short, high-level objectives, easy communication. And just to throw in a little bit of statistics, we're actually this is one of Lindley Johnson's slides. We're actually to the point where we have pretty high completeness in many of the surveys, but we're still not there yet. And certainly things that can produce a lot of devastation in a continental or regional sense are still as yet undiscovered. And so that's all I have, because I wanted to be quick. So I will turn it over to my colleague.
As you probably realize, I'm not Clive Neal. Clive should be giving this talk, but he was called away for this week. He is currently the chair of LEAG, and so he prepared these slides for me to present. Since the last time we gave an update at the survey meeting and at the LPSC, the Executive Committee has been reorganized. Clive has become the chair, Sam Lawrence is the vice chair, and Jeff Plusha is the past chair. And as Jeff stepped down, I've never seen him smile so much becoming past chair. We also have numerous members, as you can see here, representing the European Space Agency and other particular aspects of lunar exploration, including the Commerce Group. Kurt Klaus has become a member linking to Commerce and will also be the CAB chair, and I'll explain to you what that is. And the ex officios are Ben Bussey, Sarah Noble, and Greg Schmidt, representing HEOMD, SMD, and Survey. This is still in the preliminary works, and this has been Clive's idea to essentially make a closer linkage between the commercial sector and many other parts of the lunar community. And this is the Commercial Advisory Board, or CAB. And if you look at the LEAG terms of reference, as you can see here, Clive has spelled out or highlighted in yellow. The LEAG is to provide findings, analysis, and other information that can be used to inform decisions on science, technology, commerce, yada, yada, yada. Provide a regular forum for broad discussions of lunar exploration, science, technology, and commerce. And so the CAB is being formed, and it will provide a better connections as well as synergies between the commercial lunar and the broader lunar community. Just an announcement that the LEAG meeting will be held, our annual LEAG meeting will be held in October 2022, October 20th to October 22nd. This will be held at the USRA headquarters in Columbia, Maryland. Abstract deadlines are August 11th of this year. And the focus is the identification, evaluation, extraction, and use of lunar resources. And if you remember from LEAG meetings, we commonly have a individual focus and build other sorts of themes around that initial focus. The meeting goals are, again, to integrate the various perspectives and interests of the different stakeholders within the lunar community and explore common goals of lunar exploration, to use the results of recent and ongoing missions to examine the dynamic nature of the moon and plan for other future missions, and also to provide a forum for community updates. Also, there is a change in the status of the AGs. As probably many of you know, the AGs, again, are a community organization that provide community consensus and input to NASA. Starting, I think, when I got, as chair of CAPTEM, got the AGs involved in the NAC, all AG chairs would be members of the NASA Advisory Council. This is changing, and there is no longer an AG chair no longer has a guaranteed participation in the Planetary Science Subcommittee of the NAC. Again, nevertheless, as I've been told here, NASA has assured that disciplinary coverage of those individual analysis groups will be within the Planetary Science Subcommittee, and NASA will continue to support some AG activities. Probably monetarily, socially, and spiritually, I assume. Also, I'm not sure if you've seen these, but these are examples of the League promotional material that just outline, you know, why the moon, why the moon should be a target of future human endeavors. And these are just absolutely beautiful documents produced by LEAG with the help of the LPI. And, you know, if you have any contacts that you would like to send these documents to in terms of the Senate or the House or other policy makers, feel free to, you know, contact Clive and Sam Lawrence for PDFs of any of these documents. They're just truly beautiful documents. Also, we announced it at LPSC, and I'm announcing it here. As you know, there was a very successful book, New Views of the Moon, that was published, I think, in 2006. And the LPI and the League are initiating a new initiative. I guess you could call this the New Views of the Moon. And the purpose of this is that there's been so many additional missions to the moon over the last decade since the publication of that book. And there's been a lot of new insights from modeling, from samples. For example, the H2O hydrogen species content of lunar materials, that we thought that this would be an appropriate time to launch this 3-year initiative. The steering committee includes Brad Jolliffe, Sam Lawrence, Steve Mackwell, Clive Neal, and myself. The first community meeting workshop will be at the LPI May 24th to 26th of next year. This just shows some of the themes that will be covered in the New Views of the Moon initiative, which will end up being a book. And we've also been guaranteed a spot from our previous publisher that they're interested in publishing a second version of this because the first New Views of the Moon was one of the larger selling MSA publications. This is just an overall timeline for New Views of the Moon. Again, my update here at the survey meeting. I'm giving another update at EPSC of October of this year. During the League meeting in October, there will be another organizational meeting. And I'll just let you read through this in terms of the New Views workshops. There'll be 3 of them. And we're looking forward to having chapters of these various themes submitted to the AEs for review in May 2018 and chapters finally submitted to reviews in mineralogy in October of 2018. So we have a very well-defined timeline with very, very well-defined goals. And any of you who would wish to participate in this, you can contact Clive via email or contact me via email, or you can talk to me at this meeting. That's the end of what Clive wanted me to present for the league updates. And so what I kind of have here is Dan and I think we're both willing to accept any questions on a wide range of matters that you'd like to raise, at least for the league. You know, what other matters should league be involved in? We do have somebody taking notes, right? Okay, at least for league. And so, again, that information will be passed on to Clive. But anything I can do and answer for you, both Dan and I are more than willing to do that.
Questions? This on? Okay, so I looked at the steering committee for the new views of the moon, and I like that idea. But I can't help noticing that everybody on the steering committee is quite literally a graybeard. We're all older people, people who have actual beards. There were no women, nobody young. Thank you.
Yeah.
And nobody, who, at least unless I missed something, who is actually involved with things like volatiles, although I saw it on the list of topics on the steering committee.
Yes, and we're broadening that. We just essentially came up with this idea, you know, during a little bit before LPSC. So that will be broadened.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, Chip. I noticed also that there seems to be, maybe I missed it someplace, but I didn't see anything about ISRU.
Yes, it was
Anything
in there.
about the recovery of
Yes.
water.
And I
ice
think
or
there were
anything.
2 chapters tied to that, or 2 themes tied to that.
Oh, it will be in there then.
Yes,
Okay.
it definitely will be. Yeah, Pam.
Hi. As the simplex proposal experience clearly demonstrates, there is a huge amount of pent-up demand for sending a lot of small distributed platforms to the moon, otherwise known as CubeSats. And, you know, not only that, I mean, there's clearly a lot of scientific interest. The moon is an ideal test bed for all kinds of technologies, but everybody has to go through cislunar space once they leave low Earth orbit to go anywhere. So in keeping with all those things, I really think it would be a good idea to put some teeth into some a request that we think about making the, you know, having a systematic way of supporting people in developing CubeSat concepts, and particularly instruments, compact instrument suite for deep space applications. And it makes perfect sense for especially the lunar folks, but even asteroids. I mean, very low gravity. There's lots of good reasons you could put packages on asteroid surfaces easily. You can't do that on the moon easily. They can certainly go into orbit relatively easily. And I just think that it's time for that. Of course, we can talk about a lunar scout program, which we've been talking about, or the equivalent of Explorer program for the moon. We've been talking about that for a long time. I don't really care how it's done, and I don't really care at this point what the architecture is. There are lots of proposed architectures. But I think that you know, we should put some force behind an argument that it is really a good thing and will help to really stimulate the community, particularly in the area of instrument and technology development. I had to say that. And if you want to hear more about this or participate in it, come to the Lunar Cubes workshop. I'll just put in a plug.
Thank you, Pam.
Well, that sounds like the makings for a discussion for a finding in the next Sbag, and I'll certainly bring it up.
Okay, Jeff, this is for you. I'm wondering if LEAG could discuss with the PSS ways in which SMD might be encouraged to formally explore ways to utilize the Orion crew vehicle and any exploration module that might be in cislunar space. Right now, there's no formal way for SMD to really participate.
Okay. David, you know, what you should do is, Clive is on the PSS, so these notes will go to him. And also what I would do is remind him with an email.
More questions? I've certainly gotten off light so far.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming.
Uh-oh.
Dan. So a couple of questions. First one is, we had a living document, the LEAG roadmap, and we haven't really talked about that much recently. I was curious if that was continually being updated and what the long-term plan for using that was. Are you going to use it to outline the new views on the moon, or what? And the second half of the question is does Sbag have a similar sort of roadmap that is being developed in order to help guide future small bodies?
Well, with regards to the LEAG roadmap, it is continually being updated, and I think it's Clive's plan to reevaluate and revisit the roadmap. Also, these, kind of glossy diagram or glossy handouts that he's produced have some of the highlights in the roadmap that again will be distributed. So it'll make it an easier read, particularly for politicians, for example.
Is there anything about
No, there's another question.
Oh, sorry.
Just to answer about the Sbag roadmap. The Sbag had kind of a tome as a roadmap that was something like 800 pages long. And what we're doing is actually making it a tractable document right now that's punchy enough that can be read in a single discussion with policymakers. And I showed some slides of the people who are responsible for individual sections of that, and I encourage people to contact them and engage.
Go
Is
ahead,
there
Pam.
anything in either document about the potential, especially for the moon, obviously, to get a lot of deployable small packages to the lunar surface coming up via all the landers that are going to be going to the moon over the next 5 years or so? Or about the tremendous interest there is in sending distributed networks of small orbiters to the moon? Anything about the ways we could potentially test technology that would let us go just about anywhere in the solar system because the moon is so challenging? Well, I haven't actually read it, okay? I don't know what's in there. I'm just asking. Yeah.
My guess is, at least I haven't read the document in a couple years. But I think that would probably be avenues that one could read through the document and make updates to it. And again, as I mentioned, I'm pretty sure Clive is, again, planning this community input process into the LEAG document, the LEAG roadmap over the next 1 to 2 years.
Okay.
So you will have an opportunity if it's not there.
More questions? Well, I think
Dan?
thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
It's been a pleasure.
And thank you, everybody. And again, any other questions you have, please, feel free to see Dan and I during the posters.